It was very delightful when you do win, because I think it's important that the early years are actually noticed, and having people do that for teachers who are trying to burn a fire inside for other people to see what can be done in early childhood. My first teaching employment was in Canberra, but back then the seniority of roles was quite different to what it is now. I was only allowed into the playroom once a week, so my passion is outdoors now. Canberra was all very nice, but I wanted to go back home. So I then looked for jobs in Victoria and managed to find a job in Bensdale. I stayed there for 30 years. Huge induction to life. I won the award for the context of learning with children, so that extension of scaffolding children and taking children out into the community as well. There's so many valuable teachers around. It won't matter where you are in your teaching career, somewhere along the line you'll find your own little gift with that path of teaching. So to be recognised for that gift was really a privilege. When I did win the money, I thought, what am I going to do with this money? Well, I spent most of it on professional development through Regio Media. I did some environmental work as well, and then sharing that with other people. So that gave me a bit more richness to actually put to the teaching that I'm doing now. My favourite thing is just seeing the dynamics of the creativity that children can actually expose through their own dimensions of who they are, because they all bring life skills and they're all competent and they're all capable, but they need the direction of that capability, so that just is like scaffolding the building. It just keeps growing all of the time, which is what life is, because it's going to change much more rapidly for them than it will for us. And just the laughter, just the fun. We need to be so open and flexible and imaginative, and just bring a sense of wonder and a sense of humour to the world of early childhood. You just fall in love with it.